I bet $1,000 on Alex Pereira to submit Magomed Ankalaev in the fourth round. And before all of you guys go commenting like crazy, like, dude, you've lost all your money, just hear me out for a little bit, right? Okay, let me play out a little scenario for you, right? It's the third, fourth, or fifth round. Pereira is destroying Ankalaev's leg, right? We saw what Jan was able to do to Ankalaev, and I'm not saying that Ankalaev hasn't improved his leg kick defense any. I'm not saying that, but Alex Pereira is one of the best leg kickers, probably the best leg kicker in the entire sport. The way he's so sneaky with it, you just can't see it coming. It's so hard for people to actually accurately check it. And if Jan did that to Ankalaev, I really see a world where Pereira does the same exact thing, right? Ankalaev's legs are destroyed, they're gassed out, so what does he do? He shoots a sloppy takedown. A sloppy takedown, try to get them to the ground, because Ankalaev is likely going to come in here underestimating Pereira's wrestling, right? Because he's a kickboxer, right? And sure, he is, but you can't underestimate Alex Pereira's wrestling just because of how strong he is, right? He's so strong, and he's the dude who has the hands of stone, who can just hold on to your hands and or control your wrist and just not let you do anything on the ground, right? And there's a very good chance Ankalaev just shoots a very sloppy takedown, and Pereira is able to turn that into a submission, get a guillotine, right? He had one, a standing one on Jan Blachowicz. It wasn't super close, but it was there just kind of like a threat in the background. It wasn't like tight or anything like that. But Alex Pereira has a legitimate chance of submitting Magomed Ankalaev. And I'm not saying that it's likely to happen. I don't think that. I just think for the odds and for the payout, it is a huge value bet, a huge, huge value bet, because I really can see this world happening so clear. Like, so if we're just gonna look at the odds here for a second, right? Alex Pereira by submission, just by itself, is plus 220. Plus 220. And I get that. I understand that. But I mean, you really just can't count out Ankalaev's legs getting absolutely obliterated. Him shooting some horrible takedowns. And then Pereira jumping on a submission. Alex Pereira by round 4 submission is plus 1200. And I'm just saying, dude, that is a steal. Plus 1200? Think about it, man. Think about it. Ankalaev's legs are just battered, bruised, battered. He doesn't want to stand anymore. He just wants to get this fight to the ground. It's horrible. I've said it before. You know what I think, and I could totally see that happening in round 4. I think that's what I'm going to cash out with, plus 1200. Because man, could you imagine if when I wager $1,000, I'm going to win $120,000. I'm going to win $120,000 when this happens. I am going to win $120,000 when this happens, okay? So, I'm not saying, actually, I am saying it's going to happen. It's going to happen. 100,000% chance. There's not even a single chance it doesn't happen. It's almost like perfectly guaranteed, locked in. It's already happened, actually. It is very good odds, right? And I get it. It's unlikely to happen, sure, but there's always a chance, man. And you can never be too afraid to make some money, right? Because if this hits, which I think has a much higher percent chance than the odds, have shown to be, because Pereira, he's not a slouch on the ground, right? Of course he's a striker, but he can hold his own in the wrestling, and you guys have to know that. Sure, back in his middleweight days, he made Izzy look like Habib. He did, that's a fact. But he's gotten better now. That was a few years ago. And even though a few years ago isn't that long of a time, for a guy like Pereira, who is kind of new to all this, it's crazy to say, even though he's a double champ, but he's able to improve at a much faster rate than a guy like Islam Makhachev, right? Islam Makhachev has been doing this in Dagestan for his entire life, he's going to make very small improvements to his game over time. A guy like Pereira, he can have quote unquote newbie gains, I guess you could say. Newbie gains for his wrestling. And that's going to be a huge factor, especially if Ankalaev is underestimating Pereira's wrestling. That is going to be a major downfall for him in this fight, you know? And Ankalaev has kind of confused me a little bit, right? He said many different things. He says that, oh, I want to strike with Pereira. And then on a video of Pereira wrestling, he said, you better be ready to do that for 25 minutes. I'm like, what does this guy want to do, man? But I'm not saying that Pereira is not going to get taken down. That's not what I'm saying. But even if he does, in the past, it's not like Ankalaev is this huge submission threat, is he? I mean, who's he submitted? He has more knockouts than submissions. Does he even have a submission? I honestly don't think he does, right? Which, sure, Ankalaev's way to win this fight would either be by a decision and just kind of like laying, like marauding him for all 5 rounds. It could be by, a TKO on the ground. Maybe you get Pereira in a really bad position and just land shots over and over and over and it has to get stopped. Or a submission. I could see those happening, and I do think it's possible. But I just think it's unlikely, right? Ankalaev's best win was, his most recent win was Rakic. And Rakic is a good striker, right? But he didn't really show dominance, I would say, over Rakic. Sure, he won the rounds. He was winning the rounds, and yeah, he looked good. His striking looked solid, but there was nothing that really made me believe that he's going to be able to beat Pereira. And the fact that he didn't shoot a takedown in that fight, I think he did that because the UFC told him to put on a show, and he decided to not throw any takedowns for that reason. But I don't really think he put on the show very much, right? It was decent striking, but nothing extraordinary at all. And I just really think that people are overrating Ankalaev's wrestling because of his last name and because it ends with this letter V, because he's a Dagestani fighter. And I just don't think it's going to be enough, man. And I really could see, I'm not saying it's likely to happen, but I think it's very, very, very possible that Pereira is actually able to secure a submission here. And if you don't think so, you're just wrong, dude. This guy is insanely strong, and sure, he's new to the grappling. Or maybe not even new, but he's not a submission or grappling guy, obviously. But when you get a guy's legs tired, they're weak, shooting horrible takedowns, especially if there's only like 30 seconds left in the round, I can totally see Pereira jumping on a submission and just going for it and getting it. I think it's very possible. I'm not saying it's likely to happen, but I'm just saying for the odds, it is a great bet that I'm about to win some big money. That's all I'm saying. I am making it big with this one. So I'm super hyped for that fight. But next up, Justin Gaethje is an underdog against Rafael Fiziev. Huh. I might have to place another fucking bet on this one. Justin Gaethje is the underdog? Sure, he was knocked out in his last fight, but Fiziev is coming off a loss too. And when's the last time he fought? Wasn't it like almost 2 years ago? And Justin Gaethje is the underdog. And you gotta remember that Justin Gaethje, his 5 losses have been to some of the best guys in the division. And Rafael Fiziev, I just don't know if he is of that level. So, I thought Justin Gaethje was a favorite. Because he was a favorite against Dan Hooker, I'm pretty sure. Are you saying that Fiziev is a tougher opponent than Dan Hooker? I don't know, man. I am definitely going to pick Gaethje, and this seems like another really good bet that I that I might have to, place a little bit of money on. But, we'll see. I also did see online that Justin Gaethje says that if he gets knocked out, then this is going to be his last fight. So that's going to be kind of sad if he does get knocked out. I don't think he's going to get knocked out. It would be very unlikely for me, in my opinion. But it would be a very sad way to see him go out, 2 back-to-back losses. But at least he's getting out of the sport, right? We already joke about Justin Gaethje having a little bit of CTE, but it would be good to see some of these guys get out before they're, like Tony Ferguson on an 8-fight losing streak. But I think this is a winnable fight for Gaethje. I don't think Gaethje's done yet. I think people forget, man. People forget. Don't sleep on Justin Gaethje, right? Yeah, but that's about it. If you think I'm utterly insane for doing this, just wait until UFC 13, okay? Just wait until March 8th, alright? Then you'll be proven wrong. But that's about it. See ya.